welcome to today's roundtable webinar on hair care trends for 2024. This is the third in Cosmetics Business's series of roundtables, getting to grips with the beauty industry's most exciting topics. I'm Julia Ray, I'm the editor of Cosmetics Business, and it is my huge pleasure to be your moderator for this session. So from scalp serums to pre-shampoo treatments via hair waters, hair care is currently one of the most innovative and exciting categories in beauty, with cosmetic ingredients trade shows a hotbed of exciting and frequently sustainable new launches in this area. So to give more insight into all of this newness and technology, we are really lucky to welcome a team of experts from across the category. Before I introduce them and hand over, I'd like to take the opportunity to mention just a few housekeeping details. So firstly, today's webinar will be available on demand if you'd like to revisit or share the content at any stage. The last portion will be devoted to a live Q&A session, which comprises both questions posed as part of the sign-up process, but also anything that you want to send to us today live. You'll see a box for questions on the screen in front of you, so please do send in any questions you might have for our panel throughout the next hour. I'll read them out anonymously, so there is no need to be shy. There is literally no such thing as a stupid question. So with all of that said, I will now hand over to our first expert presenter. Aude Lemoine-Desson is EMEA Marketing Manager at Croda, which specialises in sustainable high-performance ingredients and technologies.
Hi everyone, my name is Aude Lemoine. I'm a marketing manager at Croda, and I'm very pleased to present you today some of the hair care trends we could identify for 2023 and 2024. Let's begin by sharing some of the context behind these trends. And here I wanted to talk about the conscious beauty that was driving the market not a long time ago, and is now evolving to leave more room to consumers' changing values. So as a result, we see the rise of a concept called biology that has been created by Mintel, where brands are still expected to support sustainable initiatives, but also put a focus on the consumer itself, on his identity, rights, and make sure to support and empower him, whatever he stands for. It means being more inclusive and provide a cosmetic product with claim and positioning consumers are willing to pay for, in addition of a strong efficacy and safety, obviously. For the hair care market, the biology concepts will be reflected by different trends that are summarized in 3 categories. The first one is around efficacy and proof of it that consumers are expecting more than ever before. Then we have the quest of well-being that cosmetic products can help to achieve, including better inclusivity, support, and ways to express identities. And then we have the skinification and the rising need for scalp care. Let's begin by what should be a basic, the efficacy. And it all starts with trust. Consumers are paying more attention to what they buy, especially to claims and false promises. As an example, free from claims are not what they are expecting anymore. Consumers are becoming more knowledgeable. They want to understand the purpose of ingredients in the product and not about those who are not. They want to get a sense of the efficacy, safety, and sustainability of the product. And an interesting trend populating on social media right now comes to confirm the need for better trust and information on efficacy. It is called the de-influence phenomenon, where more and more influencers are publishing videos to share honest opinion on products, even if it's not positive. And we can't talk about the need for better clarity on product efficacy without making a link with the intellectuals. This type of consumers is driven by the quest of strong efficacy. And to answer it, it is needed to share science and evidence on hair care product efficacy, like Croda has done with Keramat V, which is a plant-derived protein blend, for which many tests have been performed to demonstrate similar performance than animal-derived keratin. We can also see it reflected on the market, with The Ordinary highlighting the actives within their products, and with Stores sharing the Clear for Me technology that offers clear definition of each ingredient function contained in beauty products. The hair intellectual is the trend that will continue to grow, with consumers that are expecting more and more hair care products targeting specific hair concerns, and therefore science-backed ingredients and claim substantiation. And the rising demand of professional results is another key reason behind the efficacy-driven trend. It's not new, but it has gained momentum these last few years. Consumers realize they can achieve similar results at home at a reduced cost, and they now want more. The demand for salon-grade performance, with intense treatments and deep conditioning, for example, is high. And it has led to better access to professional brands like Redken, that has launched new ranges to help consumers repair and take care of their hair at home. Hair color is another key area for professional results. And with Comavel, Coda allows consumers to maintain the professional results over time by protecting the hair from the damaging effects caused by exposure to sunlight. So we've not finished with the efficacy, and we will continue with the well-being trend. The way beauty is perceived has changed. We can see it reflecting on the graph, where in 2021, the Gen Z defined beauty with a good inner confidence, being comfortable in our skin, looking healthy, or embracing ourselves. So emotional wellness has become more important than extrinsic motivations, and consumers now see beauty as a way to be their true self, as opposed to achieve a perfection that doesn't exist. They are looking for holistic solutions that allow them to feel and look good. And we know it. The hair represents a very visual part of ourselves. So if it's unhealthy, dry, damaged, or grey, it can contribute to increased levels of social anxiety, social insecurity, and self-criticism. As a result, healthy hair is critical to both physical and mental well-being, as it boosts your overall confidence levels and self-esteem. It is what Silver-Free from Sederma can help you to achieve by supporting the progressive restoration of the original hair pigmentation for people that are getting graying hair and find it difficult to embrace it. And for the same reason consumers want to have healthy hair for good physical and mental health, they also need to feel positive about their hair. Hair can be a form of self-expression, a sign of self-acceptance, identity, or even resistance in some circumstances. Depending on the meaning or purpose consumers will give to the hair, they want society to accept it and brands to help them embrace it. To illustrate it, research by Unilever found that 7 in 10 people agreed that using the word normal on products has a negative impact. It doesn't represent anyone, as we are all unique and we want to be treated as such. On the contrary, Love All Your Hair Days campaign from Amica is sharing positive messages about all kinds of hair characteristics or habits, and provide a good example of what consumers are expecting from brands. And when it comes to texture hair, being positive is a good start, but not enough to fully embrace it. Education is the critical part. both brands and consumers. So at the first, a better understanding of texture hair needs is required for brands to offer the right solutions and routine for them. And then helping the consumer to choose the right product for their hair is another way to support people that might be confused about their hair type and associated products to use. There is a good example of positive initiative with the NOU brand that offers hair care products with curl pattern on the back. Be advocate of inclusivity is another key point. We have the example of the campaign created by Dove and LinkedIn to promote equality at the workplace where discrimination can be high around texture hair and perception that this is less professional. On its side, Coda is working extensively to understand needs and challenges faced by people with texture hair. SensorXDF is part of this initiative with a performance in delivering a luxuriously smooth and soft hair in the dry state that has been tested on most of the hair types. And we will now finish by talking about the skinification trend. It starts with scalp care that has recently become an extension of facial skin. So thanks to an increased awareness and education about hair follicles, consumers are better aware of the link between scalp care and hair health and how taking care of the hair from the root will have a positive impact on hair condition. This trend is illustrated by the graph showing that many of the features influencing hair care purchases in 2022 were related to scalp care, including hair health. But scalp care remains, to date, a niche market, with some example here with the Inky List and the Ordinary products. And so the opportunity to grow and answer consumer need is big, especially for solutions that address dry, oily, and itchy scalps. But without forgetting fall prevention and hair growth, which Vitiscence as a leaf from Colarum can help with by bringing vitality and energy to the scalp whilst protecting against oxidation. In line with the skinification, sonification is gaining momentum in the hair care market. There is a greater awareness on the importance of sun protection, leading to UV protection penetration in other beauty categories, including scalp and hair care. Because yes, as for skin, UV will have a detrimental effect on hair and scalp. UVA and UVB rays can damage hair cuticles and cause oxidation, leading to hair breakage and split ends. They can also result in negative impacts on hair aesthetics, such as color fade, which Codasorb UV283 from Coda can help to prevent offering sun protection to the hair. And solutions are already emerging on the market. There is one example here with the Hair Fiber Locking Spray by Nanogen. And post-sun exposure should also be considered with formulations such as reparative and hydrating. And here with the example of the Kerastase Soleil range. And I've now finished the presentation. I hope you liked it, and feel free to ask questions if you have any. At the end, I will be happy to answer it.
Amia Dejean is the co-founder of Media Lab Science, a clinical beauty testing and media production company.
Hi, I'm Amy Dejean, and I'm going to be talking about the hair care trends for 2024. I'm a licensed esthetician. I'm a former salon owner. I'm a co-founder of a clinical testing lab that creates content, a product developer for both hair care and skincare. So one of the things about 2024 that you're going to see is you're going to see the resurgence of curl, of powerful, strong, wavy, free-flowing hair. And with this, that means it's a combination of this 80s and 90s hair. Super bouncy, kind of out there, 90s model layer length, braids, and bangs, all combined in the same. And one of the things for hair care trends that we see is this anti-dandruff is sexy. So for 2024, we're seeing this super volume and texture, bouncy curls, shag, 90s model layers. We're also seeing like the combination of 70s, 80s, and 90s all in the same together. And one of the things that we're seeing for products is hair serums, scalp serums, nutrition, hair waters, rosemary oil. All of those things are happening for products. You're going to see the combination of the 70s, 80s, and 90s in this resurging haircuts. That means bangs, curls, wave, volume, all at the same time. And what does that look like? Think of Farrah Fawcett, think of like that curly, curly, curly perms that you used to have, and the volume, and put that all together. So hairstylist Xavier Velasquez says that volume will be at the forefront of all the styles for 2023. And this is starting to come in now, and it's going to continue in 2024. And when I say perms are having a major comeback, I mean, you can actually walk into a salon right now and see somebody getting a perm. It's pretty amazing. And TikTok is taking this by storm. Over 36 billion views have shown the styling process of getting perms. Shags are coming back as well. So think about, you know, that little cut here, little feathers, you know, it's almost like an updated mullet for women. And the 90s model, like fluffy hair, that's all going to come back, but it's even going to have more volume and more curl. You will also see an update of the Rachel look. And I know a lot of us cringe when we hear that, but it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be bold. Think of people's personalities now. It's always like, be true to yourself, be who you are, be bold, be strong, be powerful. It's going to be all of those things at the same time. We're going to continue to see braids, and braids are going to be really cool colors, really unique shapes. All different people are going to be wearing braids. Bangs are still not stopping. I know a lot of people get bangs and regret it. Good thing they're going to grow out to the shag afterwards. And why is it important that we recognize hair care trends? If you don't recognize the trend in hair care, then how are you going to recognize the products that go with it? So we think that, oh, people just develop products or brands develop products, but they do it because they're basing it on a trend. So what are some of the trends that are happening in products? Number one is scalp health. You cannot have big, bold, curly hair without a healthy scalp. You need topical products that give your hair shine, but if they're getting into your scalp, that's not good. So that's why scalp health is really important. Hair cycling, which goes with scalp health. We'll talk a little bit about that. And lastly, something that in the last 5 years has been a tremendous growth is nutrition from within. Nutraceuticals are really popular, but not only in hair care, but in skin care as well. So you'll find that in Sephora, this is a shot from Sephora, you have healthy scalp. You also have hair care for your scalp, skin care for your scalp. Scalp is part of hair care. It's no longer enough to just shampoo and condition your hair. Scalp peels, think of those exfoliating facial peels. Well, those are now going to be happening for the scalp. Also, derma rollers, the little rollers that you can roll on your hair. Used to put them on your skin, and now you're going to put them on your hair, and it helps product penetrate. And last but not least, exfoliating the scalp and letting the scalp breathe. So that's a scalp detox. Growth serums. Growth serums work better if you exfoliate your scalp first so they can penetrate. Growth serums work specifically on the follicles of the hair, and although you can't say growth unless you actually test for it, it's pretty exciting to be able to see your hair look fuller, thicker, longer, and shinier. Scalp serums, not only for hydration of the scalp or for growth, but a combination of both. You can use like an overnight facial mask, so why shouldn't you be able to use an overnight scalp serum? Hair waters. Hair waters are water, which of course we use in our hair all the time, but it's water that is infused with minerals, so you get an instant change in your hair. And that's pretty exciting. And you can wake up with frizzy hair, but use a hair water instead of using regular water on your hair. Anti-dandruff is now mainstream. And when I say mainstream, it means that anti-dandruff has cool packaging. Anti-dandruff is also thinking not just about getting rid of the dandruff, but it's thinking about treating the scalp and the hair that goes along with it. So you no longer have to be ashamed of having an anti-dandruff product in your shower. Rosemary oil. Rosemary oil is taking TikTok by storm too. And it's been over 2 billion views. And why is rosemary? It's something natural. It's almost like castor oil. It's something natural that you can put on your scalp, and it's going to help the health of your hair. Rosemary is also great smelling, and it's also known to be a great antiseptic for the hair. Hair cycling. Hair cycling is very similar to skin cycling. And if you don't know what either one of those are, just imagine either or. So if you're exfoliating, treating, exfoliating, treating. So use scalp serums to hydrate scalp exfoliation. So you can do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday exfoliation, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, hydration. So skin cycle, scalp cycle, same thing. Hair supplements, you can only treat the hair topically so much because your hair's dead, right? I can make it look shinier, but I'm not actually changing the structure. To change the structure of the hair, you have to take something internally. There are so many different hair vitamins, and they are being proven to be clinically effective. There's also new hair treatments. There's growth factors that you can put in through a dermatologist. There is the PRF injections that you can use with the platelets into the scalp to really nourish your scalp. You can also do the microRNA, which is being done by a lot of dermatologists. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to help your scalp be more healthy and to give your hair thicker, fuller, shinier, and more volume. And if you want to make sure that the products are working, you have to have products that are clinically proven. You can clinically prove that a product grows by using a phototryptogram. You can shave a portion of your head and see that that is growing in more. You can use expert grading to prove that it's shinier, healthier, longer, thicker. For scalp, you can do scalp irritation through safety and use testing. And you can create incredible before and afters to see the difference in your scalp and to see the difference in your hair. I'm Amy Adejan, and that is your Hair Care 2024.
Elaine Sital is Marketing Director at Sunrise, which develops, produces and sells fragrance, flavouring and food ingredients, as well as cosmetic active ingredients and raw materials.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Elaine Santana, the Global Marketing Director for Hair Care at Sunrise Cosmetic Ingredients, and I'm here today to talk about 2024 hair care trends. Let's start with the future of hair care, knowing that this category continued to grow from 2023 until 2028. And there is a highlight for the regions, while we see South America and Africa growing more than the other regions, with 5.5% growth on the same period. Talking about consumer behavior, what we see is on TikTok, hashtags as hair growth, pre-wash hair treatment, and curly hair routine with great number of views, and that is really very connected on the trends we will see in 2024. Looking for Google Trends searches, hair and scalp spa, OOI anti-dandruff shampoo, and also express hair care products has a significant growth on the number of searches, also connected with the trends we will see in 2024. And between the top global concerns of these consumers, we also see damaged hair and scalp problems connected with the trends for 2024 we will talk about today. So let's go for the first trend. The first one is hair therapy, meaning ritualistic hair care, where consumers continue to seek ritualistic hair practices at home and at the salon. introducing mental health focused and therapeutic head care that is really connected with the routines we already have on skincare. So continuous skincare continues to be like an example for hair care category where we have consumers looking for different steps to treat their hair. These consumers are taking care of their scalp and also of their hair. So while looking for the social medias, we see hashtags as slugging hair, hair therapy, hair cycling, hair oiling, and hair spa with great number of views connecting with these consumers that is looking for rituals to take care of his hair. And here are some of the products related to this brand. And we see products specifically play on these steps on the rituals that will take care of the hair. So it's connected with rituals and also with spa routines. Moving on to the next trend, we will talk about scalp care having microbiome on focus. That's because consumers are interested in hair care products with scalp care claims will continue to progress, and we will see microbiome as a support for this growing category, while consumers look to balance their scalp to have a healthy hair. But also, hair loss will be an opportunity for more growth as people will look more for this kind of product. Talking about social media, we see hashtags as hair loss, anti-dandruff, and scalp care with great number of views. And talking about brands that are already playing on scalp care, there are some playing on microbiome already. But the highlight I want to share here is really the brand called Strand, because what we will see in terms of scalp care is really products going beyond serum. So at this brand, for example, we have a complete line for scalp with shampoo, conditioner, exfoliant, and serum, meaning that we will have different formats to take care about the scalp. The next trend we will talk about is damaged hair connected with this bond repair, as consumers already understand that a damaged hair has broken bones. They are looking to products that effectively repair these bones. And this is not happening not only on chemical damages or thermal damages, but also while coloring their hair, as consumers will continue to express their authentic self by coloring hair, meaning more damage. So what we see here is products playing on effective repair of damaged hair, but also connecting color protection and hair repair. Looking for social medias, we see color treatment, hair products, damaged hair repair, and hair color treatment, damaged hair with great number of views also. Some of the products, as we talked before, products are playing on effective repair and also having a bigger approach, for example, playing on hair damage, but also protecting against pollution and minimizing frizz and also providing hydration. But while looking to color, we have products that play on, of course, maintain and take care of this color, but also increasing the shine and softness of this hair, playing on color protection, but also on hair repair. And the last trend we will talk about is textured hair. As we see that brands can move away from negative languages because these consumers will continue to use their natural hair. What we see here is really a continuity of the use of natural hair, but the majority of these consumers really understand and really think that their hair has specific needs. And that is really the space brands can play on, meaning that there's different types of textured hair, and each type has a specific need. Looking for what's going on social media, we see hashtags as curly hair routines, curly hair, textured hair, curly hair products, as people are really looking for products that could support their specific demands for curly hair or textured hair. Talking about products, that's an interesting point also. There's different formats, so textured hair people also use different formats of products to take care of their hair. So we can see serum, but we can also see products as refresher mist. Also, we can see combing creams, but here I want to highlight this Dominican Republic brand called Bomba Curls, where they have products to take care of the hair, but they also have supplements that could support the promotion of a nourished scalp and also a healthy hair growth, meaning people of this type of hair have specific needs and want to have these needs supported. So that was the last brand I want to share. I want to thank you for being part of this presentation on 2024 hair care trends. Bye.
Louis Guitar is Chief Innovation Officer of Tosla Nutricosmetics, a manufacturer of high-performing liquid collagen products for the beauty, health, and wellness sector.
Hi everyone, I'm Uroš Gotar, Chief Innovation Officer at Tosla Nutricosmetics. Today I'm excited to talk about how we see the future of hair care and present you our brand new formulation that we named Hair Cycle Plus. At Tosla, we've specialized in developing and manufacturing ready-to-drink collagen formulations targeting skin texture, density, and hydration. Now we are extending our expertise to hair, a natural progression considering the close link between the two categories. Getting into the hair category, we decided to get on the most prevalent issues like hair thinning and hair loss. We approach it in the same way as we do it with skin, addressing it from within, helping the body to improve and support the declining biological processes that are the core reason for the problems to manifest themselves in the first place. Hair thinning and hair loss affect millions of people around the world and are not merely cosmetic issues. They are health concerns that significantly affect emotional well-being. Such issues can occur due to a variety of factors, including hormonal imbalances, stress, medication usage, and of course, aging. These concerns affect both men and women across multiple age groups, but are most prevalent among adults aged from 30 to 60. While the market offers effective topical solutions and oral medications, each comes with its own set of limitations. Topical solutions excel in localized treatment but may not address systematic issues. Medications, although effective, often come with a range of side effects. Hair Cycle Plus is designed to complement topical solutions by filling the gaps they leave open, thus offering an integrated approach to hair health. It targets the root causes of hair loss and thinning throughout the whole hair growth cycle, which is categorized by 3 phases. First, it's the anagen or the growth phase that lasts for 2 to 7 years, depending from one person to another. Second, the catagen phase or the transition phase, where the follicle shrinks, and lastly, telogen phase, when the hair is released from the follicle and falls out. Through clinical loss and new hair growth, the number of hairs stays relatively consistent, with 85 to 90% of hair follicles being in the anagen phase. However, if the proportion in the telogen phase increases and the percentage of anagen hair declines, diffuse hair loss becomes evident. By the age of 50, every second man and woman are affected by slow involuntary hair shedding. That is why during the anagen phase, Hair Cycle Plus formula stimulates specific signaling molecules in dermal papilla cells, such as fibroblast growth factor 7, also known as FGF7. This promotes new matrix keratinocyte proliferation, leading to more active hair follicles and thicker hair. Additionally, the DHT blockers inhibit the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, which converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, also known as DHT. By doing so, it helps prevent the miniaturization of hair follicles and the shortening of the anagen phase, both key factors in hair thinning and male pattern baldness and female androgenic alopecia. In the catagen phase, it then further fortifies hair follicles by supplying essential nutrients and antioxidants that enhance the function of existing stem cells. This ensures a smoother transition from the anagen to the telogen phase. In the telogen phase, Hair Cycle Plus stimulates signaling molecules like noggin to shorten the hair's telogen phase. The formula holds herbal-based phytosterols and antioxidants designed to inhibit the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, thus promoting overall scalp health. A healthy scalp encourages hair to re-enter the growth cycle sooner. Moreover, adaptogens in the formulation help regulate cortisol levels to counteract stress-induced hair loss. For all of this to work, Hair Cycle Plus is built around our basic product philosophy that centers around efficacy through consistency. We want the product to seamlessly fit into your daily life, helping you to form habits that lead to visible and lasting results. We want you to build habits that happen almost subconsciously, on autopilot. And for a product to support that, 4 things need to be true. Taking it needs to be obvious, it needs to be attractive, be as effortless as possible, and of course bring a satisfying result. That is why we choose ready-to-drink liquid format for Hair Cycle Plus as for all our other formulations. Because first, it makes it obvious. Your supplement bottle is the first thing you see when you open the fridge in the morning. Second is about making it easy. No mixing, no prep, just taking your daily shot, putting the bottle back and getting on with your day. Liquid also allows us higher concentrations of active ingredients, greater distribution, and achieves absorbability superior to anything else. We believe those are the smallest requirements for efficacy and bringing the results that you want to see. The efficacy of Hair Cycle Plus is underpinned by a proprietary blend of active ingredients. The blend includes botanical extracts from pea sprout, saw palmetto, grapeseed, ashwagandha, horsetail, and nettle leaves, as well as zinc and B group vitamins. These constituents synergistically engage with each phase of the hair follicle cycle, supplying a comprehensive solution for hair thinning and loss. Where it gets hard is the making it attractive part, the part about consumers looking forward to using your product every day. The reason for that is that a lot of the best ingredients with the most clinical proof often taste awful, especially in liquid form. This is why we're investing heavily in our proprietary masking technologies that ensure maximum palatability and thus make the liquid format possible without adding sugar, the cheap masking alternative. For Hair Cycle Plus, we decided on a very pleasant tea-like flavor, further enriched with hibiscus jasmine undertones. This flavor profile makes it enjoyable to consume, thus again promoting consistent long-term habitual intake. Now, why do we talk about habits so much? We believe the best and lasting results come from consistent long-term use. Only that can bring to results like thicker and fuller hair, reduced hair loss, improved hair strength, less shedding, and with that, enhancement of emotional well-being. Moreover, there's a crucial business aspect: customer retention. A product designed for habitual use means higher retention rates and lifetime values that come through high customer satisfaction. We believe that if you care about growth, then you should care about keeping as many customers as possible. Without retention, your user base is likely a leaky bucket. Despite a solid marketing strategy and heavy investments in advertising, you'll still wind up with no long-term customers. And although the internet is full of hacks for increasing retention, from social media tactics and drip campaigns to targeted ads and push notifications, these are just short-term, unspecific tactics that lead to temporary uptick and active users at best. That's why we start with the product and put it at the heart of your customer retention strategy. This product was developed by thoroughly examining and studying published literature. It will also undergo rigorous testing in a placebo-controlled clinical study starting early 2024. Metrics for success will include hair thickness, hair density, the ratio of terminal to vellus hairs, measurement of scalp oil, and expert evaluation of hair condition. The official launch of Hair Cycle Plus is set for March 2024, but we're here to offer you a pre-launch opportunity as we're already looking for the first brand partners to commercialize the product and get the market validation as soon as possible. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions you might have around Hair Cycle Plus, our product philosophy, or nutricosmetics in general.
Crystal Goodman is Head of Product Innovation at THG Labs, which develops and manufactures bespoke private label skincare, hair care, body care, sun care, and fragrance products.
Hello, and welcome to Beyond Hair Type. I'm Crystal Goodman, Head of Product Innovation at THG Labs, a trusted product development and manufacturing partner based in the UK. Let's start with some insights into today's consumer who is always looking for more. Sustainability and ethics are becoming non-negotiables. Consumers are seeking deeper sensorial experiences and performance with holistic approaches to improving their well-being and appearance. Across all categories, we see the expected brand values of intentionalism and transparency. Consumers expect products with proven efficacy and are seeking purpose in their beauty experience. The hair care category is finally zoning in on hair types, and specifically the different needs of hair from straight, type 1, to type 4C with its zigzag, tightly coiled hair pattern. Partly fueled by the natural hair movement and currently defined by the L'Oreal research, we see this as a step in the right direction, yet curl types are still an underrepresented category. Only 6% of launches globally in 2022 target curly, coily hair. While the industry catches up with textured hair needs and testing of ingredients becomes more inclusive, we will look to the future and how best to meet individual needs and diverse hair goals. I believe we cannot be defined simply by our hair type. How we choose to wear our style and how we treat it calls for specific solutions that suit our lifestyle and ever-changing hair needs. It's time to go beyond hair type and celebrate individuality and freedom of expression with targeted products, customizable routines, and simple messaging to help guide consumers to the most effective products to improve the health and quality of their hair. Our hair type is just one element we consider when choosing products. What we seek is solution-driven products that suit our individual needs. Internal stressors such as hormonal changes, our lifestyle, the health of our scalp, and even stress levels influence how our hair behaves. How we choose to treat and style our hair represents our physical stressors. External stressors are the changing environmental influences facing our hair daily. Secondary purchasing factors represent the desire to protect resources by saving time, money, and the planet. Let's take a look at internal stresses, but bear in mind, of course, genetics have a big role to play in this area. Emotional stress for prolonged periods leads to a rise in the stress hormone cortisol. Consumers already recognise the link between stress and hair loss and premature graying, but may not be as familiar with the impact on scalp health and hair quality. When high levels of cortisol regularly reach the scalp and hair, it impairs and reduces hair follicle growth and affects hair strength. Clariant have found a solution in nature with their Prunizen active based on self-heal. It not only reduces cortisol to improve hair density and scalp sensitivity, it also boosts the pleasure hormone oxytocin. Hormonal changes and aging are linked to hair thinning, representing one of the biggest consumer concerns. The latest ingredient that has caught my attention is Biologen, a vegan collagen-3 mimic produced using fermentation with comparable results to pharmaceutical active minoxidil. It also improves hair gloss and strength. As we age, the porosity and texture of our hair changes, often becoming drier, coarser, and more frizzy. The products you used to use may not have the same benefit, and often consumers seek more nourishing and moisturizing conditioners and leave-on treatments. With skincare-inspired ingredients and routines, the scalp care market continues to grow. At present, the scalp care category is driven by a desire to cure. Heading into 2024, focus will switch to prevention. Skincare hero molecules still dominate the latest launches in this category. Vitamins lead, with niacinamide present in 18% of new launches this year. The next most popular are AHAs, followed by key moisturizers, hyaluronic acid, and ceramides. Our highlight ingredient solution here is the biotech-produced active Bioskin, utilizing skincare hero Chlorella vulgaris for a fast-acting reduction of irritation, redness, and itching by rebalancing and feeding the scalp microbiome. Whether it's from physical or chemical sources, damaged hair and hair breakage is again among the top hair concerns globally. Chemical treatments damage our hair, leading to broken bonds and weak fibers, but fortunately there are many solutions available to help prevent and aid repair. Chromazone is a color seal technology that contains an encapsulated upcycled pomegranate extract, delivering high antioxidant protection over time to the cortex, protecting both natural and chemically processed hair colors. Since the launch of Olaplex in 2014, there's been a sharp rise in bond repair product launches, with over 27% of launches to date in 2023 referencing bonds, which is almost 3 times as many as in 2020. We're seeing the rise of multi-bond treatments to repair ionic, hydrogen, and of course disulfide bonds. Innovation in the natural space has led to launches such as Greenplex C, naturally derived from upcycled apples, sugar beets, and vegetable fatty acids. This product interacts with salt bridges in the hair to repair and rebuild hair structure. Physical stressors, including hair styling and heat styling, have a major influence on hair quality. With over 28.5 billion views on TikTok for braids, we are now looking at products and ingredients that can help reduce the damage, improve the tensile strength, and help with the transition of in-between styles. Braids provide intense physical strength on the hair and scalp. The traction and inflammation can even lead to alopecia and painful inflamed scalps. The contribution of physical causes to scalp irritation has recently come to light, particularly in the case of covered heads and protective styles, as they create a confined atmosphere for the scalp, in addition to the friction. Waystar Pinkberry is an upcycled active that soothes irritation for scalp relief. Clinically tested on volunteers who frequently wear a hijab or helmet, the active minimized redness and decreased itching in just 7 days. Whatever the influence, what is important is that we offer high-performance repair actives to address the damage our hairstyle choices cause. The most exciting ingredient I've seen in this space comes from oat-derived micropeptides. Symprotein oat contains natural, adaptive, and biomimetic peptides for intelligent repair. These extra small peptides identify the level of damage based on the exposed charge sites within the hair to restore structural integrity, and they even remain in the hair after rinsing. External regressors relate to the environment around us. The rise in populations living in urban areas is increasing the desire for protection mists against airborne pollution, which has been linked to hair loss in recent studies. Extended exposure to fine pollution particles can cause extensive chemical damage to hair protein and cuticles, and hair can become dry, dull, and more fragile. Recently, we've seen product launches that also tackle the damage from metal ions within our tap water supply. XOP is a marine polysaccharide that acts as a biomimetic shield, protecting against heavy metals from both water and air, reducing cuticle damage and protecting keratin. Changes in seasons and climates can make hair more porous and lose moisture more easily, leading to dry and less resilient hair. High temperatures can lead to changes within hair structure, making hair weaker, less elastic, and more prone to breakage. Humidity leads to frizz, especially for more porous hair types that easily absorb moisture from the air. It can also affect the balance of the scalp microbiome. Damage from UV exposure has been compared to bleaching due to its similar and extensive damaging effects. Baobab seed proteins from Tri-K are a deeply nourishing and strengthening active that provides intense protection from UV stress and recovery from damage. Caricillium, a microcomplex of natural peptides upcycled from milk thistle, provides multi-level solutions. By targeting the effects of the exposome on hair quality, it reduces oxidative stress, repairs damage, and protects keratin. Successful products will address all of these environmental stresses. Pollution and UV protection alone aren't enough for today's consumers. They want instant results they can see and feel. Tackling humidity and frizz, enhancing shine and manageability as additional benefits will resonate with consumers. Protect your resources. This represents secondary influences on purchasing decisions after performance. Time savers appeal to us all. We have a fix me now mentality when it comes to our hair. Using high performance overnight products that work while you sleep are gaining in popularity. Miracle Waters, Wonder Rinses all appeal to the time poor for their instant benefits. The cost of living and a resulting rise in minimalism is playing out with consumers looking for multiple benefits to streamline routines. Cost-conscious consumers want salon quality results at home. In the UK, the average consumer now visits salons every 15 weeks compared to every 6 weeks pre-pandemic. L'Oreal's innovative Colorsonic tool helps consumers achieve even and consistent hair colouring at home, mixes on demand, and applies colour with no mess. The planet's resources are finite, and the hair care market has been quick to respond to help reduce packaging waste and water usage. But I feel like it's time to think beyond the bar. Many consumers are not prepared to compromise on performance with solid formats. We've been researching and formulating alternatives from cleansing oils and balms to powders and concentrates and bring your own water concepts. Hair refreshers extend the time between wash days and are gaining in popularity as they save water, energy, and money. Sustainable solutions are now expected beyond packaging. Low impact, natural and vegan ingredients from biotechnology, upcycling, or regenerative agriculture appeal to our intentional, conscious consumers. Thank you for listening.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the live Q&A session of today's webinar. We hope you've been inspired and educated by all of these presentations over the past hour. Personally, I am very glad to hear that curls are back. But if you'd like to know anything further from anyone, now is your chance to send in your burning questions for our panelists on hair care. I can see some of you already have, which is great. And of course, some of you also sent in questions as part of the registration process. So we will attempt to answer as many of those as possible too in the next 20 minutes or so. So guys, firstly, thank you for the fantastic presentations. To begin, we have a great question here. Considering how mature the hair care market is, what are the gaps in hair cosmetics? Perhaps, Uros, you can start us off as the designated man in the group, picking on you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Perhaps you will tell that I'm biased, but I will give my vote to the Nutri Cosmetics, obviously, as you heard from my presentation. I think it's a very exciting and emerging category, and also a real category, because we see that big names like, for example, Shiseido, Perricone, MD, and Murad, for example, are adopting this category as a real one. And even major retailers like Ulta Beauty and Sephora, I think that was told also in one of the presentations, are dedicating shelf space to this category. So this is a mark on its own. We see as a manufacturer of Nutri Cosmetics as this like a complementary thing to the more traditional topical cosmetics, rather than it being a threat. And I would also say that I think that if you want to approach issues like hair thinning or hair loss in the most optimal way, it's always better to do it from within and on the outside with topicals.
And anybody else? Maybe Amy-Ann, you mentioned quite a lot of trends there. Is there anything that you think is a gap in this space?
You know, one of the things that we are definitely, I agree about nutracosmetics, but really even yesterday we were at Suppliers Day and they had the skinification of the scalp. And it's just, people don't realize the difference that treating your scalp can make on your hair, just like they don't realize that treating can affect your hair externally. So I'm not sure exactly what products to create, but I can tell you that starting at the root of the problem, at the same way like retinols do for the skin, so starting at the root literally is probably the best way to rethink hair care.
Lovely. Well, we've got one here asking, what are the new effective conditioning agents? Maybe somebody from one of the ingredients companies might want to answer that one.
Yes, I can go for this one, thank you. I think this question could be maybe rephrased. I don't know if it's really about, like having good performance conditioning agents, but maybe having both performance and sustainable solution, because this is maybe where now the offering is lacking. Because obviously I think we all know that we already have good solutions on the market. We have cationic quaternary ammonium compounds, but they are being questioned because of their low ecotoxicity, like bad biodegradability and aquatoxicity. And so now we just want to find a solution for that. So there are already some on the market, like amines that can be cationic at a lower pH. We have as well like some complex, like blending amino acid-like functionality that will provide substantivity to the air and lipophilic alkyl chains that will provide lubricity. This is the same approach that the cationic compounds, they will just bind to the anionic part of the hair. It's similar that we are getting there, but I feel like we can see the demand for sustainable solution is here, and we try as much as possible to provide solution for that. We are working on it, but yeah, I think it's what is needed. What is needed right now. It's the same with the silicones. They are quite good. They are the performance is here, but in terms of sustainability, we know that we need to find some alternatives. And here, like saying, we have a lot of emollients now. Like plant-based emollients that are on the market for alternatives. So we are getting there. It's just we need sometimes to give even more performance conditioning agents, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's finding that perfect balance, isn't it? Lovely. Yeah. So we have a question here asking, what scents are on the rise for hair care products in 2024? What can we expect our hair care to smell like?
I think I'd like to see more mood-boosting fragrances. Just following on from skincare and body care and fragrance itself, we've seen a huge evolution in the last few years in terms of really functional fragrances that are supported by EEG technology and neuroscience to kind of actually have that measurable effect on emotions within the consumers. And I think hair care's gradually catching up to that kind of idea of having a ritual over a routine. And we're seeing some really beautiful hot oil monoi treatments, and there's more indulgent experiences. And I think that there's a real opportunity to match the mood of the time of the day that you're using product with the fragrance. So, I mean, consumers understand lavender is good for relaxing, right? But there is so much more to it, within the relaxing, calming, restful sort of fragrances that have been clinically tested. You've got these really beautiful softwoods, vanillas, patchoulis, these really kind of cocooning type fragrances that would be perfectly matched for your overnight ritual, for example. And then perhaps in the morning, when you're kind of setting your tone for the day, you've got, you know, really energizing. We're seeing quite a lot of pink pepper and grapefruit and those kind of more zingy, citrusy smells coming through. But also, you know, refreshing in a kind of like wild herbal kind of, you know, green herbs and other elements like that are quite nice for that really energizing, powerful fragrance. And then, you know, within purifying, you know, there's a lot of links to the sort of marine and wild herbal scents. But actually, if you can look at those with a functional fragrance view, I think it would really benefit the consumers to know that they're really having that sensorial time out and that kind of emotional connection with their formulations.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. The mood beauty trend is overarchingly huge, and I think it makes sense for hair care to really tap into that. So the next question, we actually had quite a lot of questions on this theme, and I've chosen two here, which are: what are the trends in hair care ingredients for ethnic hair, and what is happening around mixed textured hair types? If anyone fancies jumping on that one.
So I can.
Go for it.
Okay. So for our point of view, there is still an untapped market of textured hair, so that the brands are not playing on. And that's because we have so many different types of textured hair. And what we learned regarding consumers is that they really think that their textured hair has specific needs. And there's a very, very interesting point here. So while taking a look on all this journey of textured hair, we as Symrise, we launched also a platform very specialized, and we made a lot of researches and focus group on it. But there is a point that from us from the industry, we are not looking that much. That is how we perform tests for textured hair. So for example, if you want to measure shine, how you will do it on a textured hair? So sometimes people straighten the hair and then measure it. So, but that won't be the real the real way people will be using. So I think there is an interesting point for the industry to invest in real protocols that could really support the performance of ingredients to textured hair. So, and I think that will be really where the brand will start to play on, understanding what are the specific needs for textured hair, but also aligning technology with the right protocols to prove performance. So that's what I think that will be going to, and there is a lot of space to play on it.
Fantastic. And Aude, I think you were going to add there as well.
Yeah,
I want to add too.
Great. I think it's a good question. That's why. I think Hoda is fully aligned with Symrise, clearly. It's the same. We've made a lot of researches, we organize focus groups, try to understand directly from the consumer what is their journey, as you just mentioned, and what kind of ingredient product they use, how as well we realize that their routine is very different, even in the way they use products, and the time it takes for them, it's way longer. So we really realize that we need to adapt the ingredients we develop for them because they have different needs. But you're right, in terms of technologies to develop as well to evaluate ingredient performance to change. Same for product, actually. Sometimes, like we can realize even some of our customers are not using the right tests for the product they use. So it's just trying to help educate, learn. We have so much to learn about texture hair. I think we are still at the beginning of it. So it's a long journey, but you're right. There's so much to do. And as well, there are so many different curl types, texture hair. So we can't stick to only one. And then you have all the difference between ethnicities, the region of the world. So it's endless. So yeah, there is a lot of things to look at. And it's clearly what we are trying to do as for Symrise and going in that direction as much as we can.
Fantastic points from both you guys, especially through the evaluation aspect. I've definitely had conversations around the skincare gap based on testing, and it's also the case with the hair care products as well. So very important there. So our next
I could probably just add a little quick insight on the testing part. And so what labs are doing and what we're doing is taking photos of the natural hair in its natural state. And we don't mean like the curly, cute natural state. We mean in its natural state, right after washing and just plain air drying. Or brands will come to us and say, we would like to have 3-day-old hair, right? So we're not testing on swatches and we're not straightening them. And then taking photographs and expertly grading the results. So what Simrise is working on, and as you develop product, you can actually see the changes in the hair. You have proof with photo, but you're not doing anything to the hair that wouldn't be normal.
It's a great solution, and hopefully it will become more normalized in the industry going forward. Wonderful. So we have one here on solid formats. Do we think that solid formats like shampoo bars are going to go out of fashion? Maybe Crystal, could you hop on that one?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because we all understand they save packaging, but you know, sometimes I think the performance is too much of a compromise for most consumers. I think many of us tried the early generation, you know, the first versions of these products, and were kind of put off really by the time taken to lather. So not really saving any time because we're in the shower longer trying to get them to lather up. And the fact that they kind of quite often left us hair feeling squeaky clean, they kind of melted on the side of the bath. So I have to say, performance-wise, they are getting better, but they're still not necessarily hitting the mark. And I've got some stats just on the number of launches. So the peak of launches was last year in 2022, with 261 coming to market in just the shampoo category. But this year to date, we've only seen 138 launches. So I feel like either the market's been flooded or the kind of like desire to launch more is kind of slowed down. But, you know, in terms of a percentage of launches within the shampoo category, they still only really represent around 3% this year. And it was only 4% last year. So for me, I think that they've had their day a little bit. And what we're really excited about is products that are, you know, and the innovation within powders, concentrates, bring your own water products, because it's more of a consumer friendly performance attribute at the end. You know, what we're doing there is, you know, we're trying to save packaging and so on by creating these concentrates, but actually without quite the compromise, I think. And from a formulation perspective, they are quite limiting, quite challenging to create. I think they've almost kind of had their day, although I'm sure some consumers would completely disagree with me.
Interesting. Yes. Well, I was going to say, do send in your questions if you do agree or disagree with that. You have the opportunity to do so. So moving on, we actually had a lot of questions about this come in, and I've got a couple here. I think maybe, Uros, I'm going to bring you into this because you did talk quite substantially on this. But what solutions are there for hair loss? And, you know, how are formulators also addressing hair loss from aging and stress? I'm sure those are things that we all suffer from, but yeah, what's being done in that capacity?
Yeah, well, I think that Nutri-Cosmetics offer a very powerful approach to this. We've heard a lot about the scalp health and the skinification. I would like to point out here that we just recently published a study that's published in the Journal of Functional Foods. It's an open access study, and we showed that our main category products, let's say, which is based on collagen, hydrolyzed collagen, and MSM, have a very significant impact on skin dermis and epidermis. And basically, scalp is skin, right, in some sense, and we are going to test this same product also on hair. So we proved significant impact on skin dermis and epidermis, but we're going to do now the same thing for hair. And I think it's going to be very exciting. The other thing you mentioned, I think, stress and these things. We also heard that feeling good today means looking good. It's kind of a goes into the same direction. And I would say here that in nutri-cosmetic products, for instance, we can formulate them with adaptogens. For example, I've mentioned ashwagandha in my presentation, and these are basically plants or herbs that that help the body to adapt to stress and to restore balance.
That could be the next anti-aging hair care solution there. Fabulous. I've also got somebody here asking, just sent it in now, will Hair Cycle Plus work for lashes and brows as well?
Yeah, I saw that question. It's a very good one. I think that some rigorous testing for eyelashes and eyebrows in terms of food supplements is lacking right now. We have been getting some testimonials from focus groups, and we're definitely going to include this question in the self-assessment when we do our next clinical study for hair on this product, Hair Cycle Plus. Now, if we see that the results in this self-assessment are positive, we're probably going to test them then in another clinical study for eyelashes and eyebrows as well.
Fantastic. And on the subject,
Wanted to add about the testing is that because the anagen and telogen cycles of the brows and lashes, they don't grow as long as the hair, as like your hair, so it's harder to see, right? So, but you can photos with different imaging, and then we can grade that, and you can see, you can actually measure the diameter. So, although you might not see as much, like more, you could increase the diameter of the hairs, which does seem to be fuller. So, there are ways to test that.
Fantastic. All right, that's wonderful to know. Excellent. So we have, again, on the scalp topic, somebody sent something in saying, what are the causes of scalp sensitivity and how do we combat or balance these? Anybody want to hop on that one, scalp sensitivity?
I can start.
Okay.
I will start this time.
The same question.
So there are extrinsic and intrinsic reasons for scalp sensitivity. So extrinsic, you can look at your hygiene as a first, and you can think about as well like pollution, UV, stress as well. So this is clearly something you can look at, try to look at your habits, try to be healthy, have good mental health as well. Like we are talking more about that, you know, like the link between your skin and your hair and how you feel. So clearly like being well will help. Then you have intrinsic reasons like hormones, could be one as well. We have personal differences and sensitivity to this kind of issues. So something that I don't control. And as well, something to be aware of is the skin barrier on the scalp is weaker than on fresher skin. So it will lead to like greater sensitivity on scalp. So here, the best advice would be to take care of your scalp as much as possible by using like dedicated products like moisturization and soothing products as well, and anything that you could do to revitalize and taking care of it. Yeah.
Lovely. So we have a question here asking. Oh, yeah.
Can I just add something on that?
Please, yes, go for it, Elaine.
Thank you. So I just want to add that I think that's an additional point that consumers are starting to look for. That's the microbiome of this area. So starting to have probiotics, working on it to also improve this balance of the scalp as it's part of our skin. So I think that microbiome will be really focused on scalp care for the next year in terms of hair care trends.
And so yeah, all about the microbiome. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what are the key natural or botanical ingredients upcoming, trending in hair care, if anyone's specializing in that area?
I can happily take this one from a kind of overarching view as a formulator. I think, the naturals are still very much at the forefront, and, we're seeing growth in ingredients you'd expect, like coconut, castor oil, perilla, aloe, and so on. But for me, the interesting bit is the innovation being driven by high science actives in terms of natural plant-derived peptides, micropeptides that are tiny and are substantive to the hair as they rinse through. It's just absolutely fascinating, from sources like oat and milk thistle. And those are particularly good at resisting damage, and they're almost kind of in that sort of vegan keratin format. But sourcing of natural, I think, is almost the biggest story at the moment. So thinking about low impact opportunities. So there's amazing work in terms of biotechnology, alternatives to proteins like collagen and keratin. And these really appeal to those skin-inspired consumers. They're very conscious and interested in sustainability, but they're never willing to compromise on performance. And I think that's very true of most hair care consumers. So, as I said, biotech, but also upcycled sources are really kind of evolving beyond just active ingredients, but we're starting to see them in more functional ingredients as well, which we really welcome. So we've seeing, fermented surfactants and thickeners, upcycled preservatives. I think if you notice on the presentation I did, there was an upcycled sugar beet, but that's proving to be a really interesting source. It might not be the sexiest natural ingredient, but we're seeing the functional ingredient creators using it as a source for the green plex, so the natural bond repair material I called out, but also the cosmic green conditioner, which is that alternative to BTAC that we're seeing. And that is the #1 top growing ingredient on the Mintel data. So there's a 6-fold growth since just last year. So I think it's those sustainably sourced, interesting naturals that are leading the way in functionals that I think, as a formulator, I'm getting really excited about.
Excellent. I think it's really interesting that you kind of mentioned the clean aspect there, because it actually fits really nicely into one of our other questions that somebody sent in, which is currently more important regarding market trends, product performance, or being clean, and are consumers accepting of sacrifices for greener products? I might tie in with what Ord mentioned earlier about conditioners. What are your guys' thoughts on that balance?
I think 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago, I think there was more compromise to be made. Certainly if you were thinking about, when I think of clean, I think of the classic free from lists in terms of silicone free, sulfate free, and so on, and now emerging quat free. I think it has changed. I think there are many, many more new ingredients available to us to kind of, swap those ingredients out without losing too much performance. But I think, if I'm honest, the biggest compromise for our consumers is on cost. Sulfate free does not cost the same as SLES. You've got different, it's difficult to thicken. The ingredients are more expensive. I personally think silicones are great, and I still like to use them. But when it comes to our formulations, we've got very clever at finding alternatives. But for me, it's less about performance compromise and more about cost.
Makes sense. Right, we're coming swiftly to the end of things. I have a question here which I wanted to squeeze in because I thought it was a great one, whoever sent this through. What is the best way to rebuild hair structure and build bonds within hair? I think we covered a couple of bond builders within various talks, but what's the best way to do this?
I can try to answer this one. Might need some help. First, it's interesting. It's interesting to receive these kind of questions. I think it shows how the market is evolving and is being more experts than before. Because I think we'd have never asked the question before. Like, no one was aware of bonds within the hair before. This is incredible. So when we talk about bonds and structure, it's quite complex, so I won't go into detail. But so we have 3 different bonds, and 2 that are hydrogen and salts that are quite easy to rebuild if it's needed. It's quite like, it can be broken because of water or heat. Like, for example, you go into the shower and then your hair will become straight. That's because of hydrogen bond. So it will rebuild very easily then when your hair will become dry. But then we have the disulfur bonds. So the one that everyone is talking about right now. And this one is more challenging. So this is the bond that will create the structure of your hair and the shape and the strength of it. And because of different kind of damages, but especially if you relax your hair or if you bleach your hair, like all kind of very harsh damage that you can impact, like that you can put on your hair, will have like detrimental impact on this disulfur bond. And this change is irreversible. You can't build back these bonds. But now we have some ingredients that will create covalent bond with the hair. So it will rebuild the bond, but not the hair itself. It's the product that will bond to the hair so it can reshape. So it's like the technologies are better and better. Like we saw recently, like some amazing technologies arriving on the market that are even like permanent rebuilt, which is amazing. Yeah, it's good, and I think it's as well like here. It's only at the beginning. I think like more and more technologies will arrive because as we understand better, like on what we should, like act on the hair to make sure that we can maintain like a good strength and shape, then we will continue to develop new solutions. So it's really interesting. It's a very good question. I really like it.
One to watch. Fantastic. Lovely. So to wrap everything up, I'd like all of you, in whatever order you fancy, to give me a short sentence on what is the hair care trend to keep your eyes on in 2024. And I wish I'd come up with that question myself, but that was actually sent in. So what is the hair care trend to keep your eyes on next year? Who wants to start? Maybe Ors, as he was just talking.
Oh, it's really difficult to choose. Like I worked a lot last year on texture hair, so it would be my favorite. I feel like the gap is too huge to be ignored, and it has to change. So for me, it's really like where we should focus as well, like not only for texture hair, but for all hair types, having like a deeper knowledge of hair, trying to understand it better. I know the hair is dead, but it's still very complex. There are many things we can do. So I'm like, yeah, going more into hair knowledge and offering more personalized solutions to make sure that we can be more inclusive.
Fantastic. And Amy Ann?
We didn't really talk much about hair color, but I think there needs to be crossover between color and hair care. And I know there's the shampoos and the conditioners and the rinses and the things like that, but I would love to see more crossover in the color category, and maybe being specific, having more high technology that you're able to target certain colors. So if you have blonde hair or if you have gray hair or something like that, the hair color could be, I don't know, maybe ionic, I'm not a formulator, or magnetic or something, so it's attracted to that color. So I know this is completely off topic, but that's what I wish we could develop.
Exciting. It would be wonderful if we can. And Elaine?
I agree that textured will be very trendy as there is many space to play on. I also believe that scalp care will go beyond serums and things like that. So it will be like a whole routine to take care of scalp. But I think that there are interesting points regarding trend is really the consumer behavior. So it seems consumers from hair care, they are becoming more intellectuals. So really trying to understand the technology behind the products that we propose. So connecting technology and performance, I think it will be really the future to understand and to meet consumers from hair care.
Intellectual. It doesn't roll off the tongue like skintellectual, but it's still a very, very good point. Uros?
Yeah, again, I will have my vote on NutriCosmetics, but also on the emphasis of clinical research, on clinical evidence, I mean, and scalp health.
Lovely. And finally, Crystal.
I think for me, it's intentionalism, you know, really appealing to the conscious consumers that are really seeking that more holistic approach to well-being. So their physical, emotional, it ties in obviously with that beauty inside out thing with nutraceuticals as well, but just really kind of thinking about how we can help transform basic self-care routines into mini rituals in a similar way that we've done within skin and body. I think that would be a really nice space to play in beyond that kind of more functional aspect.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for rounding up with the hair care trends for you for next year. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. So a huge thank you to our panelists for all of your insights, and to our viewers, thank you for joining us too. And apologies if we didn't get round to your specific question for the gang today. As mentioned at the start of the webinar, maybe if you were a little late to proceedings and missed a bit and would like to catch up, this webinar will be available on demand. So the fourth webinar in our roundtable series will be taking place on the 12th of December at the same time as today's, and it will be all about skincare trends. And if you look into the lower right-hand corner of the console, you can click the Sign Up Today button to make sure that you don't miss out on that one. With all that said, I'd like to extend a huge thank you to all of our speakers, and thank you to you guys, our audience, for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you.